Good morning from beautiful Phuket, Thailand. So I'm standing out here at Patong Beach looking at a beautiful morning. It's about 7 a.m. and I'm getting ready to get this review going for the JackZoom All Terrain. JackZoom All Terrain is a little different than most boards. A lot of them being sold right now as all terrain. They come one way and that's it. The JackZoom All Terrain is sort of a hybrid because it comes with a set of street wheels and you can convert it back over to regular skateboard wheels at your leisure, very simply. Comes with extra belts, comes with extra pulleys, comes with extra wheels, obviously, extra bearings. So you got a lot of extra stuff that comes in the box for the price point somewhere around the $700 mark or less even. So let's take a look at the JackZoom All Terrain real quick and we'll talk about some of the features. So as you can see, the board's got a nice pattern on the grip tape. Pretty nice logo, looks good there. It's a little bit dirty because I rode it over here to the beach to get everything started. One of the big features of this board are these airless silicone tires, but they have these little cavities on them, these little indentions in them, so that they do compress, but they're airless. So you can see right through them all the way around. They are changeable. I took a look at that. You could just unbolt the wheels off there and take those Allen key bolts loose that hold the hubs together, separate them and put a new tire on there. So one of the things that's kind of cool about this remote is it's got this scroll wheel, familiar to a lot of people for acceleration and braking. Not a huge amount of range on the throw, but enough to give you a good feel.
Expectations, they keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute.
The remote, of course, you have to power on, so let's give the board a little push. Okay, and it's now on. And now you have a blinking green light showing that the board is connected. So we'll take a look at that real quick in real time. Oh, she's hot. All right, so getting back to the remote real quick, you've got the 3 power lights. It's got a little icon next to it for the skateboard itself. And that's showing you 3 bars right now. The way I read the instructions, 3 bars means your battery's basically on the top end of full. The middle bar indicates you're at 50% when you get down to the second bar, and the bottom bar indicates 10%. One feature that JackZoom added to the boards are these underbody lighting, glow lighting. So there's a strip down each side of the enclosure and it puts out a nice little glow to make you more visible at night. If you want to use it, you push and hold a long press of the reverse button. I'm gonna push and hold that for a few seconds, and there's the lighting. And it's gonna cycle between different colors and things like that, and it puts out a pretty good glow. It's certainly not headlights. You're gonna need your shred lights or whatever adaptation, whatever mod you use for lighting. But turn it back off same way, long press on the reverse button, and give it a few seconds, there it is.
So we're gonna do a deck flexibility test, and I'm not gonna jump up and down on it because I weigh 100 kilos, but just gonna give you an idea how much give. And this will also show you that there is some give in these tires, not just in the deck itself. But the deck is gonna be pretty stiff because it's got the enclosure. It goes basically the full length of the body of the deck itself.
And a top speed I already got to 20.7 miles per hour and haven't truly taken it on streets yet. What I rode over here on was just a little kind of pathway through a shopping center and Bangla Road. If you've ever been to Phuket or Patong Beach, you know that's kind of like a party area. And I'm a 100 kilo rider, plus I'm riding with a backpack full of drones and camera gear today. So that's pretty respectable. The question I have is, will this board be able to drive through the sand? I'm talking about that hard packed sand. Just beyond where the waves wash in and the water stops, there's about a 6-foot strip on most beaches of hard packed sand where it's still pretty dry. I just got finished on going down the beach and proof testing that this actually will ride on the sand. It was an adventure, and I have to describe this to you. I guess the best way I could say it really does feel like you're land surfing, because the sands are literally feeling like they're shifting underneath the board. And so as you're going along, you're having to make the same sort of corrections you'd be making on the road, but it's kind of hard to describe. You just feel like you're on a wave. So if you can see that, probably not. 16.6 miles per hour, and that was on the beach. That is pretty respectable. My average was almost 14 miles an hour. That's just since I started the app. I went about 0.6 miles, just nothing but on the sand right there on that hard pack, getting up to 16, I think it was 0.6 miles per hour. It's pretty respectable, especially with my weight on it. And these are not truly off-road tires. So it's capable. One thing I forgot to mention before is you really kind of get almost a running start. If I just stand on the board and gun it, I'm just gonna sit there and dig a hole with the back wheels. I started the board with the throttle, got it moving probably 3 or 4 miles per hour, maybe 5 miles per hour, and sort of jogged along next to it, hopped on it. Started feeling like it's just back and forth, just kind of fishtailing. So you can tell you're getting wheel spin. That's the kind of torque this thing has, even with these stock motors, is you're getting wheel spin on the sand at speed. So that's pretty impressive. So underside looks not too bad, fairly clean, until you get back here, of course, by the motors. Really, the pulleys and the belts don't look like they took a lot of sand in them. Of course, that stuff's just getting slung right out. Now, I'm not by any means suggesting that this is good for a board in the long term. This is not like gonna be my everyday use of the board, but it is cool to know that when you wanna come out here and do this, you can. If you had something with a little bit more grab, you'd have a lot less wheel spin. All right, so I'm down to 1 bar on the remote. I'm headed back to the house. I'm still over here by the beach. I've only got about a mile to go. We'll see if it makes it. It's got pretty good speed right now. I'm not obviously gonna be looking at my app right now, but I've got the app running in the background to figure it out, plus obviously the GoPro GPS. So we'll see how it's going, but it really is feeling nice even after all that time on the beach, all that time in the sand, the battery status, everything. I still feel like I'm probably going 18. Sorry for the wind noise. I usually hook up my vlogging rig on the GoPro mic, but with this Hero 7, man, I've just decided I'm gonna leave that thing at home. It's too much of a hassle, and it takes away the all-weather capability if it starts to rain or get some water on it. I'm getting some pretty good sag now. I got a blinking red light. I'm gonna have to cut this thing short and take an alternate route down Sin City Boulevard over here, the Bangla Road area. All right, so here we are. This is Bangla Road on Patong Beach. If you're familiar with it at all, if not, Google it, but I don't recommend Googling it at work or in front of your spouse. We're gonna take Walking Street here on Bangla Road all the way back to Sansabai, and then take Sansabai back to our main road. And I'm not using this as any sort of official range test. Whatever comes out on the app is gonna be skewed because I did a good bit of my riding on the beach, and that just eats the battery alive. So we'll see how it comes out. So I made it back to the condo. The battery literally gave out coming up the drive ramp, which is fine with me because it did what it needed to do. This wasn't a range test, so by no means are my numbers going to be accurate. 7 to 8 mile range, and that was with a lot of this riding on the beach, so that just killed the battery. So we'll do a straight up street test of it for range later and get a better indication. Also, I was riding full throttle that whole time, of course, on the beach to even keep it moving. Here's a ride just to show you with one chiclet of battery with 10%. If that focus is okay, let me get behind the camera to check it. If it focuses okay, you still got 19.2 miles per hour. So that's not too bad on one battery chiclet, considering that that means 10% of your remaining battery power. So I'm gonna do a brake test from as high a speed as I can get up to at about 100 meters and just nail it all the way on the brakes and see how the braking action is. Got another camera set up down there to film it on that end, so we'll see how we go. All right, nice and smooth and controlled. Okay, I'm going up about a 15%, maybe up to 20% grade. Trying to hold the camera what I think is the horizon. It's just a long, gradual hill that goes up toward these mountains that are up at the top of the view here. It's really acting like it doesn't even know there's a hill there because I'm accelerating up the hill. Here's a ridiculously hellacious hill. We're just gonna see if it'll start up this hill at all. Oh my God, this thing's like ridiculous. It's making it slow. Best pass ever. There we go. I think I passed a couple of motorbikes and a few cars back there. Just dash right out in front of my ass. Watch this. Done. Okay, so I'm back at my condo after part one of the range test at least. I'm gonna have to do the other half in the morning and use up the remaining battery. I'll show you first on the app how well that's gonna focus. It's 5.2. I rode another about half a mile in laps around the building here doing brake testing. So 5.7 roughly, and average miles per hour, 12.1, not too bad. Rode for about 30 minutes. Top speed was 19. Could have easily gone faster than that if it hadn't been for traffic. I have 2 steady lights, which means 50% battery. During hill climbs, it would blink down to 1 light, solid light. So that's pretty normal under heavy load. So right now we're back, been cooling off for just a second and haven't turned anything off at all, but it's still showing 2 battery lights. So I told you earlier about the seal that goes all the way around the enclosure. You can get a better look at it right here. It's like a foam rubber type seal. Runs all the way around the full length of it. So that seems like it's gonna do some good as far as keeping out dust and water. I just wrapped up testing on the range. Got another 3.1 miles, so 5.7 yesterday, so not too bad. 8.8 miles. That's not bad with a rider my size and weight. So just wrapping up my thoughts on the JackZoom All Terrain. Final thoughts on the JackZoom All Terrain. This is a good board. If somebody is looking for something that can go off-road or on-road and have good road manners, have good speed, still getting 22 miles per hour, roll over almost any obstacles with these big old tires, and have a very soft ride, very forgiving ride over cracks, manhole covers, storm drain grates, all that kind of stuff, this is a great board. I would opt for the bigger battery, which is the 10.5 amp hour, which is I think another $100. That still puts this board well under the competitors, and this is a true off-road board in the sense that you actually have ground clearance, whereas those other boards with the drop decks frankly, you're gonna bury that belly pan on a rock or on a curb or something someday and ruin your electronics. So there you go, guys. The JackZoom All Terrain.